Let's get it!
Broadcasting to you from a little grass shack in the middle of the Pacific.
Live in the place to be.
Well, they're actually in the Bay Area.
Yeah!
But they are the premier Pacifica show that shines a spotlight on positive Pacific Islanders.
You listening to the sound.
Role models coming brown every Thursday night at 6.
East to west, we getting hurt.
Brought to you by Pacifica by Design. It's the iconic Faika podcast with your hosts, Naki and Carl.
Hey, so it's just me. It's just little old me. Carl is off tonight because he's got the flu and he's up in Fort Bragg visiting his mom. So he's off. He's coughing all over the place. I was like, yeah, hell no. So today we have Aurora Mamea, who is our guest, and we recorded it. And so I'm going to play that in a little bit. Carl, like I said, is in Fort Bragg, and I know I was off tonight. And so I have Mena, who is joining me in another room. We went to the studio and all hell broke loose. There was no Wi-Fi. And then our guest host, Pete, who was going to join, he had just issues. So it's just me. So this week, I wanted to do my check-in and thank everybody for tuning in this evening. This week, my daughter, Miley, who plays for the University of Maine in Fort Kent, she went to the Nationals and made it to the finals, and then they played and they won. They won their game 3-1. And so congratulations to, and I'm just going to post a quick picture of Miley and her team. This is Miley. They are the USCA D1 national champions. And so I'm so proud of them. And that is my boo-boo. And she is a senior at that school. And she and her teammates, and they're her, and she's a senior there, and her, Kayla and Hallie are seniors there. So this was their year that they won. So we're so proud of them. And we were there in for their senior year, senior night, me, Mo, Mamo, and Malia. So this is them after they won, and they get rings. They get fitted for rings, and that's Boo Boo carrying the trophy. So we're so proud of her. So that happened this week. And then also we went to a wedding. My nephew Sua got married this past weekend with to Joe, his wife. So congratulations to Sua and Joe, who got married, and the whole family was there. Mo's sister's son got married, and my Mackenzie was the best man. And so I've posted pictures all over my personal social media, so go check it out. So I just wanted to, we have Aurora's interview coming up. And so I'm just going to real quick go through our community announcements. That's what we're going to do. So I'm trying to handle everything here without Carl. And so bear with me while I get the pictures up. So our community announcements, of course, are things that are happening around the Bay Area. And so feel free to join. We have the turkey trot that's happening this weekend. And so our community announcements. And then the 5K turkey trot, which is put on by Samoan Solutions, is happening this Saturday, November 18th at the Brisbane Marina. $10 for youth, $15 for teens, and $20 for adults. And it's free event. This year, the proceeds from this event is going to Sister, which is a program by Asian American Recovery Services. And then also PBD will be... what are we? We're giving out a light lunch. There you go. But there'll be Pacifica vendors, Pacifica resources like SF Hep B will be there to test you for Hep B. And then also we have Next Goal Wins, which is being presented by PICP. They're bringing a private screening of Taika Waititi's latest production, Next Goal Wins, with a meet and greet with the star behind it all, Jaya Sailua, who we had on as a guest a couple of weeks ago. So that's happening Saturday, November 25th at 6 p.m. Get your tickets by scanning the barcode or go to PICP's Instagram page and click the link in their bio. Ray, hi Maury. Maury's checking in on Facebook. Carl's out. He's sick today, so it's just me all by myself. The Ray of Light, which is brought to you by All My Usos, is happening this holiday season. If you are a widow or know someone who could benefit from their support, then we encourage you to apply. Their holiday program aims to provide essential items, treats, and gifts to bring a little cheer and warmth to those who need it most. So click the link in their bio for more information. And then Holiday Nesian Night Market will be held on December 9th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Le Maota, 833 Mala Road in Burlingame. Shop Pacifica merch vendors and Pacifica food vendors and keep your dollar brown. Check the flyer for point of contact information and we will see you there. How about that? The Pacific Islands Together annual Christmas giveaway is happening December 16th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Bayshore Elementary School for children newborn to 16 years old. Register by December 1st by clicking the link in their bio, Pacific Islands Together. Go to the Instagram page and we will see you there. We'll be there walking around talking to people. And then Faltasi Youth Service and All My Usos, they have open gym every Monday, and that started this week, and it runs for the next 6 weeks starting this past Monday from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Balanga Gym, 500 Felton in San Francisco. All ages are welcome. Come and enjoy a variety of pickup games and recreational activities. It's the perfect opportunity to socialize, exercise, and make new friends. Sign up by, again, clicking the link in Faltasi's Instagram page. And then there's a QR code on the flyer, which we share. So that, I believe that's the end of our community announcements. If you're just tuning in, Carl is sick and he will be back next week, or you will see him hopefully on Saturday at the Turkey Trot, the Salmon Solutions 5K Turkey Trot, where we will be there and hopefully we'll see you there. We'll be serving a light lunch. So don't think you're going to come and get there and get food. So we had the privilege, or I had the privilege really, of talking to Aurora Mamea. And so I'm going to play that interview now. And then I will be back live in a few minutes. To introduce our amazing, crazy, amazing Aurora Mamea, a shining example of positive role models and cultural preservation. Aurora is an enrolled member of the Blackfeet Nation in Browning, Montana. Aurora's professional journey, spanning back to 1996, yesterday, has been nothing short of exceptional. She's held various roles, including program manager, cultural prevention specialist, HIV mental health outreach worker, assistant medical clinic supervisor. Extensive experience includes certifications in gathering of Native Americans, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, and fatherhood, motherhood is sacred. Notably, she is the founder, I love this, of the Red Lighting Women Power Singing Group, a testament to her dedication to Native American culture. Over her 25-year tenure with the NAHC, Aurora has developed critical skills in client outreach and engagement, community needs assessment, cultural-based prevention, clinical case management, what else? And the integration of cultural practices and Native traditions healing for urban Native Americans. Beyond her professional achievements, Aurora is a devoted wife to Monty Mamea and a loving mother of 3 boys. I mean, that in itself is, you deserve an award. She's deeply connected to her family of 5 siblings and plays crucial roles as a daughter, sister, auntie, and a beacon of cultural pride, education, and traditional dancing within her community. Aurora's contribution have earned her well-deserved recognition. In 2010, she received the Gary Ryan Award for Cultural Preservationist from the SF Friendship House Association of American Indians and was one of 4 recipients of the Unsung Local Hero Award presented by the San Francisco Mayor's Office and KQED in early November of the same year. Welcome, Aurora. Thank you for your time. We appreciate you getting on here and talking to us about everything amazing that you're doing.
Thank you, Naki. It's good to be here. I'm so excited to see you. I don't get to see you that often, and every time I see you, it's always feels really good. I love your mom. I love your dad.
Oh, my dad
Family.
loves you. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I want to start with where you grew up and how you got to California.
I like to always share that the way we got out to California was my grandma, her husband, and 8 children were part of the Relocation Act of the 1950s, a government Relocation Act, and they came to. So that was like the government promising Native American Indians a better way of life with opportunities, job opportunities, a chance to move out into the big city, and more education opportunity. And it didn't like quite turn out that way because that was the government's way of also trying to erase Native American Indians, American Indian population, by blood quantum, right? And the thinner the blood quantum would get, they would no longer have an obligation because there's many treaties that have been signed throughout generations and centuries since colonizers came over to the United States. Yeah, that's how our family ended up out here, was one on Relocation Act, which was another act of cultural genocide on behalf of the government. And so our family came out here, and I'm firstborn granddaughter. My mom and her sibling experienced racism when they moved out here. And so I have to like take it back to the beginning of time when colonizers came to the northern continent here. And it's interesting to me because Native American Indians have always been the government's number one enemy, right? It's always been about greed, and they wanted the land. They stole the land. They massacres and murders and happened hundreds of years, and they slowly moved us slowly to the west, from the east to the west, and just constantly different acts of trying to erase our people. We are spiritual people, right? We've always been spiritual people, and each day we wake up, we give thanks to our creator God each day. And that's the way our people live, in prayer. Our family was connected here in the Bay Area with the Native community, involved with the activism that took place, American Indian civil rights movement. We lived in San Francisco for a while, and then over in Oakland. My mom pulled me out of public schools to attend the AIM Survival School because she didn't agree with what was going on. And there was a lot of racism happening. And kind of like how, if you can think about what's going on right now in Gaza, right? Or when the pandemic hit and people were having racism towards Asians, or like when 9/11 happened, and then there was a lot of racism towards Middle Eastern people. In 1978 was when the American Indian Religion Freedom Act came into place because of our leaders, activists, civil rights leaders that came before us that fought for our rights. But before that, there's a video out, if you ever get a chance to watch it, called Gold, Green, and Genocide, about what happened here in California with the California natives. And as they moved Native American Indians across the United States over to the West, and as they got to California, the last, portion of it, there was a lot of, actually natives were being scalped. The government was offering money for men and women and children's scalps. If they show up with so many scalps, that's a way to earn money to get rid of people. And the same with boarding schools, is the term was kill the Indian, save the man. And so just all that, you think about how bad the hate was towards Native American Indians throughout the years, that there was a time that our language was taken away from us around the boarding school era, as there was a time when When the children went to boarding school, their hair was cut. Children were taken away starting at the age of 5, far, far away to these schools, and some of them never returned. In recent years, I don't know if you've heard or not, Naki. Have you heard anything about the massive graves of children that have been found in
Oh my gosh,
recent
no.
years? Yeah, from the boarding schools in
Wow.
Canada and in the United States, and there's still more that need to be dug up, and lots of bodies been found. That's like devastating
That's that's
to find. It's
crazy.
yeah, it's so interesting how it came to surface right after all these years. It was mainly the Catholic schools, and missionaries, and there's like a lot of controversy around that and a lot of anger and hurt. There has been, a lot of different outlets and places, ceremonies, and gatherings where they are able to get healing and find counseling and therapy to this day for that. and
Yeah.
and we are all descendants of boarding school survivors, right? Yeah,
Wow.
and so it's like none of us are untouched by that. Yeah, so that was really interesting to me how that all surfaced. It's just whoa, powerful. It's like it's just so many words in one, right? Sad, amazing, and you think about like Sandy School massacre, how they
Right.
talk about that, or 9/11, they say never forget, right?
Right. Right.
Well, like when you hear of these massive graves of hundreds of children being found, you can look it up on the internet, search boarding school massive graves of children being found. Like it's a lot of the kids never returned home, and there was abuse happening at the boarding schools and physical abuse, sexual abuse. Young women would get pregnant
Mm.
and be sent away because they look like they're doing bad things, but it was actually the priests and
Oh,
the adults that were doing that to the kids.
but
Yeah, it's
isn't
kind
it
of
crazy how we don't hear about these kind of, like, it's not massively go in on the news, or you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, how come we're not
You're right.
talking
Nobody
about this?
nobody talks about it. I've heard more in Canada. Some, if you want to call it a repatriation happening up there. So I just have to share some of that, like some of that
Yeah.
history and what happened with that racism, and what happened here in the state of California with the California Native Indians, and how that all plays into that time where we were forbidden to speak our language. We were forbidden to practice our cultural songs, our cultural dances. And there was a time where it was all about conforming to society,
Right.
white cultural society,
Right.
right? Where my mom, I remember, family name is Bearchild, and her siblings' last name is Renning Crane. And there's a lot of native names like that. And people were ashamed to even, or scared because of the racism, to even claim that they were native, that they were claiming other things. They were claiming white, on their birth certificate. They were claiming Spanish, anything else but Indian or native, because they didn't want to be targeted, with
Right.
violence or
Right.
racism. And so in 1978, the American Indian Religious Freedom Act came into place, where
Wow.
by law we can practice our language again. We can practice our all our culture and traditional songs and ways and dances. And then people finally could be proud to wear long hair and grow their hair long again and wear braids. And so many people were relearning
Yeah.
starting from there, and so many of our people were lost through during that time. People had a hard time coping, and they turned to substances, right?
Right.
Which they got
Trauma, from the
addictions, yeah,
trauma.
from all the trauma, all the
Right.
unhealed trauma. And so turning to alcohol. And so so many people have went into recovery throughout the years, and more people are, we call it decolonizing and relearning, relearning our languages. And that was lost, and bringing it back. And we talk about the work that we do here at the Native American Health Center, which is bringing that cultural connection to our community and how important that is. Creating safe spaces of belonging where our community can come in, feel safe, and heal. There's this word called protective factors, also goes along with that other word that I mentioned, healing from the traumas and the intergenerational traumas. And Dr. Terry Cross, he's from the Seneca tribe. They call him the godfather of Indian Child Welfare Association. And I like the way he explained it in one of his presentations. He said, the same part of our brain that holds the trauma is the same part of our brain that through love we can heal. We'll find healing. And so, yes, we know that our people have been through so much trauma, but there's good news. I like the way he says there's good news. And the good news is that we can heal from trauma. And how do we do that? By protective factors. And what are protective factors? Protective factors are creating safe spaces of belonging where our people can come and, practice our cultural ways, beading and singing our cultural songs and drumming and learning how to sew our outfits, our cultural dance outfits. And but there's many different ways that they can do that. And I can relate. I can relate to a way I had taken a class over at CCSF with Dr. Palida in critical Pacific Islander studies, and I really loved it. And I was thinking of, like, as he was teaching, and we were learning all this, making the parallel. I loved how he talked about the women, when they make their tapa mats, and how in each area where they live, the women in maybe like 6, 7, 8 different, if you want to say villages or areas,
Yeah.
they on their own, they start to gather the materials to make these tapa mats, right? And this is also decolonizing too, is like using the natural resources of the earth the way our ancestors did, right? Which is using the trees, tearing off the bark and pounding it down until it turns so thin like paper. And so each of these groups of women are on their own, months in advance, preparing to come together. And then they use the coloring from the trees as well too to paint, and make the designs on the mats, right?
Yeah.
And then when they all come together, all these women, and they bring all their pieces of their flattened tapa mats together, and they create glue, which is also out of earth, right? Trees, supplies, and the way our ancestors, or your ancestors, used to too, right? And so all these women come together of all ages, grandmas, aunties, babies, right? Sisters, and all these women, and they're singing songs, right? They're singing songs together, and they're learning songs, and they're speaking in their language, their Pacific
Right.
Islander language, right? And there's even like parenting tips, from grandmas scolding a mother for the way she's talking to her kid, yelling at her kid, and teaching them how to parent, and be a good mother, and how to speak to your children in a good way, right? And so all that coming together, that's all creating protective factors, right? And decolonizing and using those natural resources from the earth, and coming together and creating that beautiful mat that is part of your ancestry, and your people. And that mat also is currency, right? And it's used, and just how it's used in weddings,
Yeah.
right? And funerals, the meaningfulness of it, and I made those connections with our native culture as well. I thought that was so amazing.
What I love about everything is that we're taking our power back, right?
Yeah.
We're taking our kids and teaching them our language. And now CCSF has a Pacific Islander, studies class, which they never had before.
Yeah.
But because everyone's so hungry to learn their culture, and
Mhm.
I love that Native Americans, Polynesians, Micronesians, Melanesians, everyone is taking the power back from being
Mhm.
colonized. We couldn't practice, we had to practice their religion. We
Yeah.
had to wear pants and shirt, which we were
Mhm.
not used to, but now we're teaching our kids our language, our culture, sewing, singing, dancing
Mhm.
that was once taken away, getting the resources and therapy really for the trauma that has been handed down from generation to generation. I love that that's our fight back, getting healthy, getting resources to get the next generation clarity of what this trauma and where the trauma came from. So
Yeah.
I love that. I love that we're starting to break that down, because even you know Pacific Islanders that came here, we're adjusting to this new land.
Yeah.
Back in Samoa, you own your land. So to come here and have to pay somebody to live in a place
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
unreal for them. So
Yeah, and the beauty of in the islands, right, is like growing all the food that's grown there, right? And that's decolonizing too. Like I always like say, for each of our tribes, we each all have our own cultural teachings and dances, because there's over 565 tribes
wow.
here, and speaking over like 350 different languages, right?
Wow.
We don't all have one way of dancing our cultural teachings and language. We all have our own ancient teachings, and I know it's the same way with the Pacific Islander people
Yeah.
too. We have that intergenerational trauma, but we also have that resiliency in our DNA too, and that goodness, in our blood too, that our ancestors carried. So I love that part too.
Yeah.
I want to say 2017, 2018, we did a women's group workshop to sew some red ribbon skirts for MMIW, Missing Murder Indigenous Women, to bring awareness to that. And we had somebody come in and do a speaker, guest speaker for sexual assault awareness, domestic violence awareness, and some kind of support, talking circle support groups. And that's how we kicked off our first group. And then that weekend, next couple weekends, we just sewed 21 red ribbon skirts, and we had volunteers come in to help sew, seamstresses, and the women got to pick out the color of the ribbons that they wanted to put on their red skirts, and we helped them sew, or we took care of them in a sisterly way and sewed for them if they felt like they didn't feel like sewing at the moment, kind of nurturing one another. And then as we continued to meet, we said, hey, we need to learn some songs together so that we can be stronger, and more powerful when we sing. And so that's what we started doing. We started meeting in person. We used to be down on Soma Street, Mission and 7th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so we had some awesome gatherings in the evening time, up on a second floor, overlooking Mission Street with the window there at night. It was really nice. And so it's kind of a support group in a way too. So we come together and we check in and how each other's doing, and then we learn some songs together, and just still continuing to sing, in different areas. And then pandemic hit and we went virtual right away. A lot of people were really needing it during that time,
Yeah.
and
Good for your
support and
mental
stuff.
health and
Mental
support.
health.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we originally had some young girls joining us. I want to say maybe three to four different young women with their moms that would join us. And
Mhm.
yeah, and we just did that throughout the pandemic. And then now we're back in person again. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's pretty powerful to get together and just sing together. And Red Lightning, the name came from one of our sisters. Her name is Betty. She's a
Mhm.
Navajo sister, and she came up with the name Red Lightning Women because red stands for native, right? Being native is red, and kind of like red power in a way. And lightning is represents us as mothers, and women.
Yes.
That how we can bounce back,
Right.
and we can carry so much as women, still bounce back, to being that strong mother figure, sister
Yeah.
figure, and supporting one another. And yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. And it's so good. I mean, really, it's so good for just your soul singing,
Oh
and then
yeah.
the sisterhood, and then you're, having conversations. Like sometimes when my kids were little, that's all I talked to was little kids. So when I see my girlfriends, like I was so excited to have an adult conversation. So it was like
Yeah.
good for your mental health just to talk
Yeah.
to another adult, but especially sisterhood is an important relationship. I feel for women.
Hmm.
Like, what do you consider your proudest achievement with the NAHC?
I would
Mhm.
say just the mainly the cultural piece.
Yeah.
And I was just reflecting the other day how I was involved about a couple weeks ago with a young women's coming of age ceremony.
Mm.
And I just felt so like everything was kind of flashing between my, my mind before I went there, because I thought my whole, since I was a little girl, flashed in front of me, and all the teachings that I've ever been exposed to as a young girl all came together. It felt like we call it in our way, we call it coming full circle. Yeah, I
Yes.
felt like I feel like in life we come full circle in many different ways, in many different levels, and in life. And at that moment, before when I went there, I was like, oh my gosh, wow! I'm so amazed how I feel like God Creator is always prepping us and growing us, into something greater in life. And I think back to all my life experiences and how it led me up to like today, and being able to talk to these young girls and give them some teachings. My workshop topic theme was on walking in two worlds, right? How do we bring traditional to
Mm.
living in a modern way of life? And then the second group I did was a sisterhood circle with them. And it wasn't with the Native American Health Center. I just got invited to help out with another Native organization locally around here. And it always amazes me how every experience we go through in life, even if it's negative or positive, right?
Hmm.
In some way, I always believe that God Creator is helping us so that we can help others,
Right.
because I feel like that's our purpose on this earth, is to help each other,
Yeah.
that we are God's children. We are instruments of God if He allows us to be.
Is there a way that you navigate your household with the two different cultures? Is there, I mean, how do you do that? Like I can't imagine. And
Mhm.
is it a problem? Is it just
Mhm.
easy flow for you because this is all you and your family knows, right?
I'd say, like, I'm always involved all the
Mhm.
time with, like, even like when my oldest son was here, he was also very involved and wanted, very like hungry, to be connected in that way. And then, like, the two younger ones, they're so the oldest is 26, the next one's 16, and then 15. The two younger ones, they're just like really wrapped up in football right now,
Yeah.
sports, with their dad and stuff,
Yeah.
and not too much into the cultural stuff. And so, like, and when my oldest was younger and there'd be like a powwow going on the weekend, and I'd be like, hey, you want to come to the powwow with me? If I give him a choice
Yeah.
and I say, do you want to come with me to the powwow or do you want to stay home? If I give him a choice, he's going to stay home and play video games all day.
Right.
Right. But after a while, I realize I can't give him a choice. And I say, get up.
Yeah.
I'm like, get your,
Yeah.
and you're coming with me, like, force them to come. Because I think about when I was middle school in
Mhm.
middle school in Montana, and I lived in Montana for 11 years and on the Blackfeet Reservation. And I remember my mom was going out to the Sundance with her sister, and she gave me a choice, and I stayed home.
Yeah.
And to this day, I wish she would have made me go with her.
Go. I
Right?
know.
Yeah, I'm like,
Mhm.
"Oh, why didn't she take me and, like, say, "No, get in the car, you're coming with me," that way I would have been exposed, a little more to that. And it makes me think about my kids and how important that is, that we, make them come. And so at this point with the two younger boys, I have to make a deal, like, in the last couple of years. This is my deal in the house, is like, you have to make a commitment to attend at least, so many events throughout the year. You can't just, like, not go at
Right.
all. Yeah. So,
Right. I
yeah,
love
just try to balance it out.
I love that. So you know what I love is every meeting that I go into, everyone recognizes the land that they acknowledge
Oh,
the
yeah.
land that we're on. I love that. I love that. And so, some people they're like, why are we doing this? And then it opens the door of a conversation that, we educate them, and really the history that was
Mhm.
taught when I was growing up
Mhm.
was so wrong, right? Everything they taught us was from the white man's perspective, the white
Yeah.
man's perspective. And
Yeah.
so that they don't even teach half of the stuff that they taught me in school. So I
Mhm.
love that that's been taken care of.
Yeah. I think about that, like, the pandemic hit and, like, nobody could go anywhere anymore, right?
Mhm.
And everything was shut down and no more ceremonies happened. I took, like, a training, does that certification training with the Native Dads Network, Fatherhood, Motherhood is Sacred.
Oh,
Uh,
yes. Tell us
10
about
of,
that.
yeah, 10 of us staff members here took the training. And when we took it, the guy that was giving us the training, he kept talking about how they went to ceremony, and it was during the pandemic. And I was kind of like, wow, like, how do we bring ceremony into our own home, ceremony and ritual, right? And prayer. I mean, we pray every day anyway, but I'm talking more like our cultural teachings, that, like, why do we have to go out of our house to find it, right? That we should, like, practice it in our own home so that we
Right.
can teach our children. And how do we do that, right?
Right. It's a lot. Well, research and asking if our elders are still around to ask, which is, I wish I would have recorded a lot of like my grandfather, my grandmother, of them
Yeah.
speaking of way back when, like my memory, I'm getting old, so my memory is getting a
Yeah.
little out there. And so I wish that I would have recorded a
Yeah.
lot of the things.
I would say like I mean not that it's like lost or anything, right? Because there's like a lot of tribes that are still, you know, revitalizing, right? Cultural teachings.
Hmm.
And yeah, there's a way that, you know, it can
There's
all you can bring it back. Yeah.
um, talking about the work that you do. What inspired you to pursue a career in the field that you're in?
Well, I always feel like prayer brought me here. So when I moved out here to the Bay Area, it was around 1990. My mom came to Montana and said, "You're coming back with me out to the Bay Area." So I came out here, and I've missed being around, you know, Native people on the reservation. My grandma and aunties, everyone still lived up there, and my cousins, and so my prayer every day was that I'll stay connected, you know, to my culture and my traditional teachings and ways. And so when I came out here, I met Monty right away. And it was interesting because right before I met Monty, I had another one of my prayer was that the next person that I get in a serious relationship with would be my husband. And that's when I met Monty,
Yeah.
right?
Did you meet
and
him? Where did you meet him? At school or at an event? Or
I was at the laugh. So his cousin, Yvonne, she used to have like dances, right? Dances, and she'd rent halls and she'd have a DJ and all the cousins would be the security, right?
nice,
Yeah, yeah. And then they would like charge like people to get in, right? $5 or something. That's where we met. We met there. He was one of the security guards and he was
nice.
very kind to me and put my coat and bag away and hospitality, you know, and yeah. And then after that, his mom invited me over and
Right, and that was history, was it?
yeah.
Is there a lot of cooking going on? Because you know his mom used to cook. She used to
Yeah.
bake a lot. Is there a lot of that going on with traditional foods, both in both cultures?
Oh
And are
yeah, for
you the cook,
sure.
or is Monty the cook? Or
I mainly do the cooking. A meme that I like, I always joke around and say it goes, I didn't get that memo that I'm in charge of everyone's meal for the rest of my life. Picked up different recipes from my mother-in-law just watching. I'm a visual person, and so I love soy fai. Oh my god!
oh
But
yes, me
crazy
too.
thing is, no one in the house really likes it too
Not a
much.
lot
The
of
kids,
is that crazy? To me, that
yeah,
is my favorite. I like that better than cocoa rice. Like
yeah.
everybody loves cocoa rice, but I love sofai. And everybody has they're like, it's an acquired taste.
I
And
need
I'm
to
like,
make some.
what?
I know like, I've started making it in the past couple years, and I go to the store and I'm looking for these. It's Minute Maid instant tapioca pearls,
Mhm.
right? Every time I go to Safeway, like I'm searching and I'm searching, and like sometimes I find it and sometimes I don't. And then recently I came up, I got like about I think like 7 or 8 boxes at home of it, and so now I really need to make some someone pancakes. I love those, and
Oh, yeah.
I've been meaning to make some of those more recently for the kids. And cocoa rice is a regular,
Mhm.
chop suey, right?
That's a regular.
And
Yeah.
then sometimes it's kind of challenging to find taro all the time. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember my mother-in-law would sometimes, at times, she even boiled up potatoes and put onions in coconut milk. That
Ooh,
was delicious. Yeah.
that's so good.
You know, fosbovia, I learned from my sister-in-law that they sell it at grocery outlet, right?
Oh, the
But yeah,
easy
whenever
way.
we do cook it, the kids love it. And, or other than that, we'll go to like Moe's Hut. You know, we love Moe's Hut.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the best.
Going back to like when me and Monty met, so his mom at that time I was kind of losing lost a job. Oh, his mom invited me to come because he was traveling all the way across the bay to come visit me on
Hmm.
the BART, right? And then he had to work at 5 a.m. and he got off at 1 a.m. He worked at the airport and she worked at the airport too, SFO. And she says, they're hiring for cashiers over here. So I said, okay, I'll come over and, you know, apply over there. So I did. Time I had already been like taking night classes while I waited tables for medical assisting school down here in San Francisco. And
Nice.
it was a 10-month program and I finished that. And it happened so perfect. Like by the time I finished that program and did my volunteer internship hours was when I got fired from Lions, right? So I always believe that God, his hand is always upon every
Yeah.
situation, right? And that he's always guiding us and molding us, right? And so like Monty's mom invited me to come live at the
Yeah.
house. She says,
Oh,
instead
nice.
of when I got hired at the airport, she says, instead of driving all the way, going all the way back home, just don't worry, just stay at the house. Monty can sleep on the floor, and you can sleep on the bed. And then pretty soon, time went by, and before we knew it, we heard that we got word back from church members that we were getting married, and we didn't even know.
Oh, wow. That was her story.
Yeah, so
Oh,
so my mother-in-law made a big wedding for us, and
it was
we got
huge.
married. Yeah.
It
Yeah, we
was
had,
huge.
what was it? I think like 30 groomsmen and 26 bridesmaids and a bunch of flower children. Right?
Wow,
Yeah,
wow.
it was pretty awesome.
It was pretty awesome. I remember that. I remember it like it was yesterday, right? Time was
Yeah.
flying.
Yeah.
What are some common misconceptions or stereotypes that you feel are harmful to Native American communities, and how can individuals work to dispel these misconceptions? Or have you come across any?
I think like mostly it's like, I think what we're really dealing with right now, they call it a pretend Indian. People pretending, to be something that they're not. There's been a lot of that popping up in our communities.
Why is that? Why do you think people are?
Maybe some non-native people like romanticize, what
Mhm.
being a native person might be, or yeah, I don't know. I mean, that has come up a lot. They're even saying that came up Buffy Saint Marie lately,
Mhm.
and yeah, just some people are like being called out on that kind of stuff. Like, you want to protect from appropriation, right?
Right.
But at the
Yes.
same time, in the end, I try not to get too upset about it,
Right.
and look at it in a way that we are all God's people, right?
Right.
We are all God's people, but I know there's other people out there that have issues, or maybe some people are going through their own identity crisis, and try to look at it. We always like try to
Right.
look at things in a trauma-informed care way of why somebody would do something like that, where it comes from or what's underneath it, or is it just
Yeah.
in our way. Some people look at it in a way as taking away resources from the real Native people, right?
Right. And how does one register, like in a Native
Oh, like
American
with the tribe,
tribe?
yeah.
Yes, like
Um,
because like you just said, somebody is claiming to be fake. Like,
yeah. Well, it's interesting because like some tribe, it depends on each tribe. Is like some tribal enrollments are not open, like ours isn't, and some are. Like I heard Cherokee people, the tribe, it's one of the largest tribes in the United States, next to Navajo tribe. I heard it's a little easier, in some certain tribes to get enrolled, but then you don't even necessarily have to be enrolled. Just that like somebody might adopt you, but not legally. Just
Mhm.
adopt you as family. It's hard to, like, if you want to say, distinguish or know which way to go with
Yeah.
that. There's different sides, different ways of looking at it.
I was just curious as to, can anybody say that and then boom, you know what I mean?
Not all Native American Indians get they call it a per
Yeah.
capita
Yeah.
payment from their tribes, and it depends,
Mhm.
like if you have a casino,
Okay.
and if that casino money's coming back to the people.
Mhm.
And not all tribes are doing that. There's corruption happening too, right?
Right. Like any other.
But
Yeah.
there are some tribes that are receiving per capita payments, monthly payments, or whether it be quarterly payment, to help with things, and it usually comes from those kind of things, like
Okay.
casinos, or like, yeah. But we try not to, like, selling our land or our oil
Yeah.
and all that stuff, and try to be aware of that, but it varies by tribe, and so there are like some that will get money that can help them with their bills, or we go out and we make it happen for our own self.
Right.
We don't depend on anybody else. No one's going to do it for us. We have to go out and be
We
successful
all have.
our own self, and build our own self through our work ethic and all that. We have, built, me and my sisters, I'm proud of them. They did pretty good for themselves to this day.
I think we all just figure out our own
Yeah.
journey in life and learn from the experiences that happen to us.
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced any discrimination or racism in your life?
I just wanted to, before that I answer that question, I just was
Mhm.
going to go back to, as far as like colleges, there are like Indian colleges that Native American Indians can go to college at, right?
Oh, wow.
They can
Mhm.
go to college. There's like one in Kansas, and
And it's
um,
specifically for Native Americans?
yeah, I'm not sure if it would be like like totally free, but maybe like probably financial aid or some like assistance to help you go there. There's the Institute of American Indian Art in Santa Fe, that school.
Oh
And
wow.
then there's other than that, like there was money that came through to help natives be able to attend universities like UC, like Berkeley, for
Hmm.
undergrads. So there is some money out there for undergrads, but usually they have to be federally enrolled or show proof of descendancy to be able to go to school there. Yeah, yeah, those are like
How do you do that though? How do you show
some of the
proof?
perks, like proof of descendancy, like for my oldest son, because I always say like my mom was a hair under full blood, which made
Mhm.
me a hair under half, which
Yeah.
makes my kids a hair under a quarter, right? A hair under a quarter of native blood, Blackfeet blood, of course, because I do have a little Apache Indian too. My oldest son is able to go to our tribe and get a descendancy card to
Mm.
show proof that he is because of birth certificate, right? That he's my son. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, that's usually how people will, you usually have to go back to like your grandparents, look for those birth certificates to show proof that you are their children, and that if they were an enrolled member. Some tribes, you have to be a quarter. Their requirement is to be a quarter um, Indian native blood, right, to get
mhm.
enrolled. And like not all are have open enrollment at all. Some do, some don't. And then it's interesting because Native American Indians are the only ones that called have pedigrees, right? Blood pedigree, right? Or
Yeah.
blood
Mhm.
quantum. Yeah, and nobody else does.
Is there anything that we've missed that you want to cover? And are there resources if people wanted to get a hold of you or learn more about Native American history and the trauma? Like I didn't know about, the schools that we're finding all these bodies now. I mean, because not knowing is like half the problem.
Mhm.
It is the problem, not knowing.
Mhm.
Where can
Yeah.
we find more of this information, or is there resources or some? I know I had one time there was a missing girl, um, and it was all over the news. I
Mhm.
personally, I always, whoever's missing, I 100% get it, the news. But I noticed that the news always covers, blonde, blue eyed
Oh yeah.
um, women, and women of color don't get. But I had talked about in Wisconsin, they had all these Native American women that were missing. And we were just at that time, we were talking about this girl who later on down the road, her boyfriend or her fiance killed her and left her body somewhere. And we have all these women that are missing.
Mhm.
And I think you brought it up too, the missing, is it missing
Oh yeah, missing
women,
murdered indigenous women. Yeah.
indigenous women, MMIW. So sorry for her family that anybody
Mhm.
that goes missing.
Mhm.
But we didn't, everybody knew her name, but yet we
Mhm.
had all these women, indigenous women missing, and nobody knew their name. Like, and then I was like, 100%, I never want anybody's kid to be
Mhm.
missing. But I also, at the same time, if one of my kids, God forbid, go missing, I want the same attention to happen that this girl got.
Mhm.
I want the same
Mhm.
attention to happen to our girls.
Yeah. There's like a couple of different Native organizations that have been doing research around that, and they're saying that Department of Justice, or like when women go missing, women of color, right? Native women and women of color, that they don't even record it. It's not even recorded at all. And so that's why they had to start doing their own research on their own and gathering names and approaching different communities on their own to gather all that information of women that go missing, right?
Right.
Yeah, and the numbers are way off on what the Department of Justice has recorded, compared
Yeah.
to how many more women out there that they have found. Not that they found the women, but they came up with all these names that have come up, throughout past years of women that have gone missing. And I
Mm.
just say be careful and talk to our kids, talk to I have a couple of nieces, that I mentioned it to, and I still want to talk more about it and actually really careful and know what to look out for.
We have to talk to our kids, like keep an open conversation. But I did want to talk to you about Bay Area Women Against Rape, certified advocate and women empowerment, take back our power. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, me and a coworker of mine here, we did a 10-week certification training online and becoming advocates, how to become an advocate, and resources, for women that experience sexual assault, intimate partner violence, or rape, and how to best support them and help them along the way with resources.
And is that open to anyone?
Yeah, we've been kind of helping out too with Baywar. We do a quarterly presentation with them on Indigenous perspectives as part of our work here at the Native American Health Center. Anybody can get involved, or we can give resources and help support in that way too.
I would love to join that.
If you
I
look
would
up
love it.
Bay Area Women Against Rape,
Mm-hmm.
Baywar, anybody can sign up.
Oh,
I don't even,
nice.
yeah, you can volunteer to be a part of the hotline
Yeah.
where people call in when in their time of need, of crisis. You were
Yeah.
mentioning earlier, you're asking about resources. I would say you could look up on Facebook and Instagram Native American Health Center page.
Nice.
There's always lots of information there. And then we have also there's other local Native American organizations. There's the San Francisco American Indian Cultural Center. They have
Mm-hmm.
a page on Facebook and Instagram. Here in San Francisco, for the first time ever, there's already a American Indian Cultural District.
Nice. Where is
Yeah,
that?
and American Indian Cultural District starts, I want to say, down here on 16th Street, about by Folsom, and then goes all the way down to Dolores Park. So it's part
Oh,
of
wow.
Dolores Park too. So the new cultural district, and they've
And
been
when did
working
that
on.
start?
I want to say, I think right before the pandemic. They cool. They got some banners up, and then there's going to be here in San Francisco. We have the Friendship House Association of American Indian Recovery Program. It's an 80-bed in treatment program, and it's open to everyone. So if people need to get into recovery, they're welcome to go there. They have San Francisco beds, for community people out here, and it's cultural based. And they have sweat lodge right there on the grounds that community members can participate in. And they are our sister organization, and they are working on building, going to be called the Village in the American Indian Cultural District. The Village, where they'll be building a new 5 to 7 story building. They want it to be a one-stop shop for all the cultural services here in San
That
Francisco.
is so awesome. That is
Yeah, I
so
think it's
awesome.
pretty. Yeah, it's going to be amazing. They're going to have like a medical women's recovery program in there with their children, and youth services and elder,
That is
an
so
elder
awesome.
floor. Yeah, it's going to be amazing, and that's what they've been working on over there.
Wow. I'm jealous. Jealous. Yeah, we're trying to.
Oh, wait, I heard something about that, about the Pacific Islander
Well,
people
they
too
have
are
a
working on a district.
They have a Pacific Islander cultural district, which is in District
Yeah.
10. It's over there near Executive, like Visitation Valley.
Yeah, I heard
It's
about
over
that.
there. So we
That's
just need a
exciting.
building. We need a building. We need our
Yeah.
building.
Oh, yeah, like some capital
Yes.
campaign and funding and all that stuff.
Yes, definitely that. But
Hey,
yeah,
if I was
it's
gonna
so
say,
awesome.
if they want maybe somebody, but hey, if they ever want to talk to someone over here and get some feedback, they could head over there to Friendship House on Julian Avenue.
Friendship
Uh,
House, Julian Ave.
inquire how they're doing theirs.
Well, I'm not gonna. Well, look, we said, oh, we'll just talk about 20 minutes. We're like an hour, of course. But just want to thank you for your time. We appreciate you taking this time out to talk to us, and thank you for the work that you're doing in the community, and for the amazing young men that you're raising, and that handsome guy that you have at home that loves on you, and he's such a, all the time I see him, he's like, hey, Nak, what's up? Hey, how are
Uh,
you?
yeah.
He's such a sweetie. But I know that you're always my favorite, because my dad is always like, oh, that's just my favorite.
Love you.
I know. But thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. And then we will get back in touch soon. And so,
Yeah.
and congratulations on all your accolades and all the work that you do.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's so good to talk with you, Naki.
You
Send
too.
our love to the family.
I will. Me too. Me too. Sorry about that. That was our interview with Aurora Mamea a couple of weeks ago. We are so honored to have had her on. Please follow her on social media and then look up all the congratulations to the Native American Cultural District that's going up and the 5 to 7 story building that they have. So again, we're hoping that Carl gets better soon. He'll be back next week. We will see you Saturday at the Samoan Solutions 5K Turkey Trot. Come have lunch on us, light lunch, and we will see you next week. Come back to Faika with us.